What's up, fam? It's June 9th, and I gotta say, it's Moon Day. Monday is Moon Day. Kind of like dawned on me, man. Spirit just drops bombs on me every once in a while. And just, I'm like, what day is it related to the planet? And they're like, it's the moon. And I'm like, okay, my curious little ass runs over to the phone. And it's like, okay, what day is a representation of Monday, planetary, right? And then the moon comes up. And I'm like, why do I even doubt what they tell me anymore? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, it's funny how, truth, discernment, and, the conscious wave of information that we have the ability to have access to right now, being nothing less than profound. It's like, hey, there's an awakening going on. There's a shifting. There's an awareness. Some people might have woke up this morning literally realizing that there's more of a smile on their face than a shit-eating grin, or kind of like, what am I going to have to do today type of stuff. And of course, Met Spirit is mentioning Venus and the aspects that are happening. They're also using trines and Neptune, which is associated with a lot of the gifts or spiritual awareness that is associated with these planetary alignments. And it's nothing less than beautiful, is what Spirit is saying, because this is like a once in a lifetime event that is happening in people's lives. Because and they use the term of Pluto, it only happens every 264 years, 65 years, and we don't realize that every planet represents an energy. And sometimes we encounter people that tell you that these things are sin, that they are from the devil astrologically, and anything worshiping deities and all those stuffs. And I know, with no disrespect to anyone's beliefs or practice, as a matter of fact, the utmost respect for the fact that we are dealing with an energy, and we are dealing with a divine energy that is conscious of itself and that has manifested physical in many different ways, that we are remembering what we are a part of, you know? So, just a little bit of clarification or an understanding of what perspective we are speaking of right now, because people will get offended. You know what I'm saying? And not that we're going to be focusing on that, but that is the truth of reality. The truth of reality is that if we do not utilize discernment, then we are in delusion. Okay. And we need to know what is real, what is true, what is authentic, what's the real you. And as a representative or a representation of the divine in this moment, here and now, with all you beautiful people, the moment of discernment is when you open up to it, when you actually stop yourself from reacting or responding from a survival space, or because you think you know better, or some type of ego place, where you actually sit back in your throne and you discern in that space to realize what is true and what isn't right now. Because there's a lot of delulu, there's a lot of, misunderstandings of self, is what I'm also hearing. People just misinterpreting the message of what's really going on here. Love and compassion is the highest upheld vibration that we can have. And our intention of doing such seems, it lacks luster, is what I'm hearing here. Collectively, it's like understanding that the divine is a flow, it's a rhythm, it's a movement that moves you from the inside out, not from the outside in. They're showing me that a lot of people are getting physical confirmations of their understanding of their reality in the present moment, but not necessarily engaging in prophecy or things of future that are really on your heart in one way or another, or you've been dreaming about it, or you've been giving visions of this future reality where you envision a higher self or a higher understanding or a place, a location, a sanctuary, or a building of something, or possibly even just moving. The great shifts are upon us, is what Spirit is saying. And how that manifests in our reality is something that we have to learn how to pay attention to. And that's where discernment comes in, and opening up your heart to yourself, opening up and having more compassion when you speak, when you think, when you hear things. And there's a big emphasis on when we hear things, because a lot of us are intuitive and we're hearing our own selves in our, you know what I'm saying, through our awareness. And I think this is kind of like a very, very twisty, kind of slippery slope subject, because there's a lot of knots and weaving and spider webs and clusterfucks and all kinds of stuff that we can get into with the spirit of delusion. You know what I'm saying? It's like we can dive as deep as we want, but if we don't have a rope to bring us back when we feel uncomfortable, or when we feel like we're in the wrong place, then that could literally tether us into a reality or a timeline of misunderstanding. You know what I'm saying? We're manifesting these things by our decision making and our discernment of these decisions that we're making. How does it feel? How does it flow through you? How does it respond to you? Is what's really, really standing out. And I believe these are questions that maybe we should ask when utilizing spiritual discernment and learning about ourselves and learning what it is differently between the divine sacredness of oneself and the sovereign being that you are experiencing the inner peace and the flow of the message, or is it coming with chaos? Is it coming with crumbling? Is it coming with misunderstanding? Is it coming with frustration? Or are you overwhelmed by anxiety? You know what I'm saying? And all these questions is about that sacred empowerment, because it's like, how much do you believe in yourself and how much do you believe in me is what I'm hearing from the creator itself, from source. How much do you believe in yourself? Because I am just like you. I am a reflection. I know you. I am you. I'm a part of you. I'm everything that exists within you is what I'm hearing. And I think, no, I don't think, I'm sorry. I don't think, I know that this is what we should learn to attune to in our lives in one way or another, to have that divine faith, to trust that divine guidance, to listen to our inner voice and our inner message, because our outer environments are literally telling us right now, especially with this full moon around, that it's time to reflect. It's time to go within. It's time to review. It's time to settle those things that ail you in one way or another. It's time to soothe you, honor you, the sacred you, the loving you, because nobody's going to do it for you. Okay. Maybe a significant other, maybe you don't have that kind of quality of connection. Maybe it's just a fallacy or a dream that you may perceive that I'm talking about, but I don't believe that. I don't believe that whatsoever. Because I know that the people that are resonating with this message, or the people that I'm talking to, are the people that I'm meant to talk to right now, because we're live, fam. I'm recording this for YouTube. I think that opening up and realizing how left off you have actually been, almost feeling abandoned at times when you open up your heart space, because you're so fragile and you're so vulnerable, not realizing that that's the creator within you, asking yourself to open up more to the real you. And it's really painful as it comes out, because it's like, oh, I have to review my progress and what I've done and the decisions that I've made in one way or another that have created the emotional inconsistencies in my life in this moment. The grand review is what spirit is saying. That's the revelation. This is what happens cycle after cycle, moon after moon, planet after planet, sign after sign, right? And it's an unconscious cycle until we realize that we're part of a grander plan, a bigger clock that doesn't necessarily reflect time, but it reflects a meaning upon us in the moments that it affects us, right? And that's what astrology is so beautiful, because at least you can look at the timing and compare the energies and how they switch to have a more profound ability to discern yourself and see what you are seeing. To get that confirmation that action and behavior are also codependent on the energies around us, right? And that's that survival that we're starting to see, or we have seen within ourselves, that might be painful to look at in one way or another, and show us our unwillingness to want to devote any time to anything that's painful right now. And that's part of due process. It's understanding that sometimes when these things come up, especially around this time, given the planetary alignments, there's a time for reflection right under our noses that we don't realize. And it's kind of like God's way of saying, hey, give yourself a break, because everything is changing right now. Everything is moving right now. You're receiving spiritual understanding through enlightenment, but the only way to receive the enlightenment is to be the correspondent or the respondent to the energy that has been given to you around those times. Therefore, helping you understand yourself better, bring yourself some peace, patience, or possibly even receiving a revelation to the point where you realize that all these densities that are on your back right now, that are literally fucking with you somehow, is just part of the densities that we are fighting through, that we are facing in one way or another as warriors of our own lives, to set ourselves free and enjoy our liberation, our leadership, and our sovereignty, because we are those beings. Everybody who I'm talking to right now, or anybody who's listening, you know what I'm saying? Stepping into that higher light and that higher power within you, and that higher understanding that you are now have the ability to receive, and step into a completely different process and a different program of a way of being, a way of living, of understanding that spirituality is not a lifestyle. It is a way of life, right? being connected to the all, the one, the divine spirit, understanding that spirit is also you and your transgressions are forgiven as long as you forgive yourself. You know, you have to move on. It's all about succession and evolution. And for those of us who decide that we want to delve or dive into the pain, into the emotion, remember where you came from when you take a deep dive into yourself, because you might lose it. Don't lose yourself. Make sure that if you're going to utilize spiritual discernment to engage in trying to figure out why the fuck you have this emotional process going on, remember you are the lifeboat as well. You are the lifesaver, savior of life. You know what I'm saying is what I'm hearing from spirit. And they're looking at it from the perspective of the observer, that we've reached a point of ascension or evolution that we can go through that evolutionary process of taking the deep dive and understanding things through and allowing them things to happen naturally instead of forcing it upon ourselves. A lot of people will blame the planets for that happening. And no, you have to trust the divine timing of everything and how the clocks actually work in your favor. Blessing. You know what I'm saying? But it takes a while to figure it out because not many people are that inquisitive in those things. And what I'm telling you is that, yeah, you could take the deeper dive, but if you open up to it, the deep dive comes to you because it favors you, because now you are open and willing to receive, right? Because you're tired of the bullshit. You're tired of being lied to. You're tired of misconceiving things or having self-doubt or insecurity or just being fucking worrisome about the future or anything or finances, da 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 da. And the divine literally puts that on a plate and shows it to you about what it feels like when you tune into it, giving you an opportunity to make a decision of how you want to approach this. Do you want to approach this from the survival space, a lack of worth mentality? Do you want to engage in the traumatic effects of your survival anymore, or do you want to go ahead and become enlightened and do and actually do something different with the divine guidance, with the divine behind you, the divine flowing through you, you opening up to God, source, universe, whichever way you want to say that, to receive your higher education as well, you know? And then, it's in these moments that we realize that that pressure on our chest or that lack of breath that we have is an outside influence on our own behavior. Salah. That's how you know everything around you before you know you in a sense. Because the way that they're showing it to me is kind of like you put your bubble inside of a bubble, and the bubble is a sphere. It's the looking glass in which you observe the world. And it's all based on your perspective, your judgments, your labels, and your categories of how these things are relevant or resonate with your life, right? It's due process is what spirit is saying. And I know that, all of this has relevance because these are the divine reflections that happen in a moment, in a nutshell. It could be that quick, or it could be that soft, or it could be that harsh. It's you choosing the position that you're going to be able to receive it, right? Making a conscious decision or a conscious choice to allow the flow of life to take you where you need to be versus you pounding it to the ground and creating it with your own hands. It's actually one and the same. The divine flows through you and it moves you, your ideas, your inspiration, your passion, your love, your compassion, your willingness to understand, your willingness to open up to. You receive an energy that allows you to do all these things when you open up to you. And that is a gift. It's a gift to yourself that you allow upon yourself because you are now open to receive. And I'm not talking about demons. I'm talking about being bro, face the fucking fear. Face the categorization or the label of what it is that fucking ails you or makes you feel a certain type of way. Because behind it is the truth. You know? And that it's funny because it reminds me of a story that my wife tells me that about us transitioning, that when we transition over, right? We transition into the life in review, or taking the, reviewing the snapshots of our lives where we made ill decisions that were based upon a contract that we made a long time ago to evolve or to ascend or whatever purpose that we were on, right? And literally you go through this life in review of everything or all your shortcomings, so that way you can make a better conscious choice the next life or the next go around or whatever way you want to call it, right? And this is evolution. You know what I'm saying? It's not a fucking theory. All right. Everybody calls it the theory of evolution, but the spirit is actually saying it's the evolution of the theory. You know, the soul, the embodiment of who you are, and the growing and the knowledge, and how it becomes more light and how it evolves. And it's no different than a sun you see in the sky, because it evolves that way. And so do we, because we are that divine light. We are that divine spark as well, you know. And I said a lot. I don't feel I said too much, but it can be overwhelming to absorb and absolve. And I believe that there is people here that are running up against their fears because they are being challenged to receive the more that is available to them right now by the divine, by the creator, by source, by the universe, by the planets that are giving us this harvesting energy to allow us to become more than what we understand ourselves to be. You know, and I'm not talking about space, and I'm not talking about fucking Delulu. I'm not talking about I am the no, I am talking about the I am that is you, and the importance of the I am that is you, because it is also part of creation. It's also part of what you came to do, is to receive that blessing, to receive that knowledge, to receive that wisdom, to rid this place of the unconscious, you know? And I know who I'm speaking to right now because it's a heartfelt message for those people, you know? But what I'm saying is you can too. Regardless of whether you think you know you or not, dude, it's something that you can open up to, something inside of yourself, and allow yourself to feel and discern from a space that you didn't even know or you were familiar with. And then when you do that, you get to see how much you've been demonized and how much you demonize yourself, because, and also how you demonize others. That's clear vision, fam. It's not a fucking punishment. It's you get to see your life in reflection, just as we transition from spirit, you know what I'm saying, from spirit to another, or from now this human being to understanding the spirit that we are. We see that this transition is also very familiar. A lot of you are shedding the old skin and the old layers of that skin and the determinations of why that skin was there in the first place or why it fell off. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of that stuff going on, and not a lot of people are realizing that the gifts and the blessings have been showering upon us. And if we actually looked around, we would see our old selves literally falling away in the water as a blurred reflection or a blurred vision of the past, because we are to remember no longer of the things that ail us and experience the joy. You know what I'm saying? For some of you, it might feel very angelic, very cosmic, very enlightened, very powerful, but very clean, very smooth. Be mindful of the transition into light, because it will also show you everything that is dark. And that's something that we, as these beautiful beings that come here, the purveyors of knowledge, to come to bless all of you with this beautiful knowledge, is because you deserve you too. You know, sit with that. You deserve you too. Say it and see what it feels like to you. Is your heart open when you're saying it? Does it burn when you say it? What happens? You know what I'm saying? That is the light within, letting you know everything that you need to know about what it is that you just intended into the world or to see about yourself. And that's how powerful we are from the inside. But a lot of us have a tendency of focusing on just what's outside, you know, and that's the deeper message. That's the deeper knowing. That's the deeper intuition, you know, that these things are underlying underneath your distractions or the conditions that you have placed upon yourself or society has placed upon you only to believe. Free yourself is what I hear. Because the coming, because of the coming, because it's coming, because everything that you know about yourself to be true right now, that you're embracing within yourself, is something that allows you to get to know you and kind of like disregard everything that's happening around you, because then you realize that everything else is falling apart for a fucking reason. And then you get to see the higher purpose or the higher path and your place in all of it, because now you have the higher observance, that higher dimensional understanding or higher self perspective of what's actually happening in the divine orchestration of life, instead of participating in it from an unconscious place. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people just in whirlwinds when in reality, there is no whirlwind. It's the wind that they create. Ooh, you know? And this is a very powerful message for a lot of beautiful people out there to embrace in something that they might not fully understand, but realize that the only demon in this world is the demon that we create for ourselves through our entrainment or looking at our atmosphere and allowing our atmosphere to dictate our own ability to see ourselves for what we truly are. And that's also part of spiritual understanding. It's part of my higher self. It's part of my guidance and understanding of the very being that I am as well. And I think that, I hold myself to the highest account because preaching with the highest of high is not something that we get to do from a place of truly knowing where or what is moving through you, speaking to you, you know, to all of you, you know, we become their, what is it? We become a reflection of them to show you the possibilities of you knowing who you are. And that's why we say tune in too, because the easiest way to bypass the mind is to shut the eyes and open up the eye of the all, of the one, of the source, to see things clearly from within out. It's kind of like your spiritual eye or your spiritual eyes. You know what I'm saying? It's that discernment. It's that knowing inside of you that says, yeah, this is real versus this is not true. You know, we all benefit from it. That's what we teach in our mentorship space. This is how we mentor people. It's like, hey, realize the gift of free choice and how powerful it is, man. And all it takes is a breath of a question or a seeking of an understanding inside you that has ancient history and knowledge and awareness of your soul, the creation of such, and what it means to be you in this time, that in this time of reflection and revelation. This full moon is upon us, and I feel like this is more like a celebration for some, releasing ties, letting go of bonds that no longer serve you because they need to serve themselves because they're distracted or whatever it is. Everybody meets in the middle eventually, and that's the pain, the patient process. And that's what our observance teaches us, is that everybody's meant to be there when they're meant to be there, and you have to focus on yourself and what you're creating and divine creation and what it has in store for you. What are the gifts? What are the blessings? What are the shortcomings? What is the roller coaster? Being excited about living a spiritual life and actually truly learning. I can't even see the boundaries, but the atmosphere in which you actually live in, which is versus the atmosphere that is really dense and foggy and smoky. And I know a lot of you are going like this right now, kind of like to bat that shit away. But the reality of it is here it is, a divine presentation in front of you that is also a revelation of how easy it is to manifest these connections when we are in the present moment and when we are outside of what we think we are with ourselves. And I hope I said that right. It's the best I could do. But it's an internal thing. It's that internal focus that lets you know where you're cold, where you're hot, where there is no in between, where there's no settling. You know what I'm saying? Where there's no openness is what they're saying. Where there's no high, where there's no love, where there's, no tenderness or compassion. Are you utilizing your logic to figure everything out and being pessimistic about the logic that you now face? Or are you showing your logic compassion and actually divining on that and bringing it to the in between and blending those feminine and masculine energies of the divine that are also you, and balancing you and becoming aware of what's happening inside of you? It's a grand rising from within that you can feel without, because every time you open your eyes in that moment, or your eyes are open in that moment, you see things differently. It's not a joke. try it if you're not right now. You know what I'm saying? Because basically, this is me. This is chi, right? This is me moving energy as a representation of something that you can take to the bank and get to know yourself better, or get rid of that pain or that displeasure or that disdain, by just throwing up your hands and giving yourself the ability to receive. you know it's funny because I'm actually showing you guys something that was a totem to me, something that is sacred, of course, but it's all about how your representation, or how you move into that alignment. Are you ready to receive? Can you put your hands up and say Salah? Can you praise the fact that you're here right now? Can you enjoy this message, or can you not? What is limiting you? What is not allowing you to embrace more compassion and love in your life? Because that is also a choice. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's things that get in the way every day, but hey, the resistance is something that you face outside yourself. It's happening outside of you, right? So your divine intelligence will tell you to go from within. So that way you can be a representation of what's not without. You can stand in your light. You can stand in shame. You can stand in grief. You can stand in pain and understand that it's not that is just a reflection of something that you are no more, or something that you haven't become, or something that you have become. Excuse me. I had to wait on that one because it didn't make sense for a second. So I had to pause. But I got an interesting job. It has many hats, many labels, but I don't go by any of them, but this is definitely ministry. And if any one of you out there appreciate these messages or these talks or these discussions or receive enlightenment, take what resonates and give back what you take in one way or another. We do this from God's gift of giving, right? And we have a ministry that we also are looking for supporters and sponsors that believe in this kind of stuff and believe in the education that is associated with our divine experiences, and also being able to share them. So, just a little shout out to Womb of the Ancient Sun, which is our organization, womboftheancientsun.org. There is a donate button right there, right under our shield, and our symbol, that you can donate very easily and confidentially, if you want to take, to give back what you have taken and felt that it could be reciprocated, or it is reciprocated within you, because it literally lit up something inside of you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I feel like this is not a ploy. I feel like this is just part of our divine understanding of spiritual reciprocation to honor one another, whether it's a like, whether it's subscribe, whether it's a share, whether it's a donation, whether it's just a shout out. Show your love and appreciation for the things that actually appreciate you. Salah. So I just wanted to, give a little shout out to our organization, that we and the divine have come together to engage in these type of principal conversations that we are bestowed to have with all of you beautiful people out there, to get a better understanding of yourself, what's coming, what's going on, and why. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a beautiful operation that we have in this organization for all you beautiful people. So, definitely stay in the know, share, like, comment. I want to hear your feedback, people. Can you feel this message? Does it open up your heart chakra? Does it open up your solar chakra? Does it bring awareness to the pain or the ailments or the disdain or the dysregulation that we all have? These are things that, hey, this is a gift. I am aware that I have this. I am aware that this is happening. I am aware. That is the gift. And then when you're grateful for that gift, it changes everything profoundly. Like the things that are happening right now in people's lives personally. Shift and change, reflection, and then the shift, and then the change. And we all, excuse me, we all bear witness to those changes. And we celebrate those changes within one another by celebrating ourselves. Salah. Excuse me, transmuting energy. I don't know why. But I don't care. It's all love, man. You know, some of us just, they needed help. They need the healing. They need the understanding. Sometimes we have to latch on to something that we believe emotionally. And this is where bad relationships come from. We've all had them, you know, but it was a learning experience for each and every one of you. So for those of you who are still going through your relationship issues, just remember that they are mirroring the relationship that you have with yourself, you know, and some people might not be willing to look there, and it's unfortunate, but also at the same time, if you have the pair or the goal or the strength to do so, praise to you. Because we already spoke about what's on the other side of our own bullshit. Salah, you know? So I think I spent enough time with all you beautiful people here. Thank you all for being here. What's up, TikTok fam? Much love to each and every one of you. And on every day is a blessing. And every day of being in the present is a gift. Just remember that. Doesn't matter how hard it gets, your faith trumps all. Okay? It's true. It really does. You know what I'm saying? I bear witness every day, and so should you. And this is why I share with all of you. Much love to each and every one of you. Have a beautiful and blessed day, fam. Take care. Peace.